The wind noise is horrendous outside. We're looking at the front of the Model 3. I'm comparing it to our car next to it, which is a Chevy Volt 2017. And the overall length of the Tesla Model 3 is about 4.5 inches longer and about 0.4 of an inch shorter than is height-wise. And it's actually about 1.5 inches, 2 inches wider than the Chevrolet Volt, which makes it more roomier inside. Just looking at the construction of the hood, and wanted to kind of know where the 12-volt battery was, and he was showing me the details of things you have to do. And Will was kind enough to give us a tour. And this being part one of the video, because it's so long, because I was excited about going on a ride with a Model 3 Tesla. It's a very incredible car. My wife and I were both impressed with it. So we're just talking about towing and that stuff. And walking around the outside of the car. The wind is about 15, 20 miles an hour right now. Tailwind, as we drive out, it'll be a tailwind. So we're talking about the 8 cameras that are built in, and the 12 sensors, sonic sensors that are in the car, and where they are. And that's very important for a fully autonomous car in the future, as this car is, because he bought the full self-driving package. And now he's going to show us the trunk. And my wife is concerned about, is there room in the trunk to put our luggage? There's plenty of depth. Just the opening is a little smaller than the hatch.
So, I mean, it's got plenty of room. And what's funny...
It just has to be able to fit into this.
Yeah, it's not a hatchback design. And then, obviously, I brought these over because I was going to...
Oh, you're going to recycle?
Yep. So, I mean, it has a nice one.
Oh, yeah.
Footwell. Yep. Yeah, my cover for the mobile connectors down there, so... Excuse my mess. But
actually, there's a lot of room, as long as whatever you're putting in can fit it.
Yep. Now, the seats fold down.
And the seats do fold down, so you got more than enough room. We've done IKEA runs, Costco runs, you name it, not a problem. Especially a round trip around here. I mean, it has
Have you put any furniture in it?
IKEA style, yes. Regular furniture, I mean...
We put a... recliner chair in that car.
Yeah, that barely fit.
It barely fit.
I think depending on the size, maybe I could probably do it. I haven't done that. The most I've done is like a twin bed set. I've fit that in there, kind of gingerly had to put it in there, but...
Are you going to keep... Is this your first Tesla?
Yes.
First electric car?
Yep.
And what made you choose this?
Well, it's actually kind of an interesting... Well, not really an interesting story. I've always liked Teslas. Ever since 2014 when I got the test drive Model S, I've just been itching to get one. But, I mean, Model S's are expensive, especially right off the line. Even used ones still go for anywhere from $39,000 to $50,000 for a used one. I was like, let's see what they're going to do. When they announced back a few years ago that they were going to do a Model 3, $35,000 starting price, I was like, well, even with all the options, even then I was like, okay, it's going to be right around 55, maybe even 60 with the options. So I put my $1,000 down and just waited it out. And then I waited 2.5 years to get this thing.
Do you wish you would have got a Model S, or are you happy with the Model 3?
I'm very thrilled with the Model 3. I did have a loaner Model S a couple weeks back because I took this to Minneapolis just to get some odds and ends tweaked on it. And I had it for about 4 days. And honestly, I was like itching to get my Model 3 back. I mean, but the Model S and Model 3 are two different class of vehicles. I mean, for one, the Model S is more of you're just coming from a gasoline engine to an electric car, like introduction. It's more luxurious. It has the binnacles. It has all the options on it. Air ride suspension. Whereas this is just completely bare bones. Here's your EV. Enjoy it. But with the software and everything, it's just gotten better and better. And that's the thing that flabbergasts me about it, is that since I've owned the car, it's actually improved, both on safety and features. So it's mind-blowing how great it is. The handling's been awesome. I mean, I've kept the all-season tires on here throughout the winter, and it's done great. I mean, there were a few times where it flickers.
Better tell you, this is a dual motor.
Yes. Actually, and you can see that.
Oh, I didn't think they had those tags.
Well, it was kind of funny because I was going to Minneapolis to get my tire rotation done because I was on a road trip anyway. So on my way back, I was like, I'll just drop off the car. They put that on there while it was sitting there.
It's not called a tag. It's called a
A badge.
badge.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, but I've had zero issues with it towards handling and performance. The only issue I had was that one, the door seals kind of drooped down a little bit. It was more of an aesthetic thing. It didn't actually have any water or anything coming in. It was just one of those things. I noticed some increased wind noise. They took care of it.
What about leaking water? I mean,
I have
around here
noticed,
when you-
like, for example, snow and rain, yeah, it does run off a bit, but it's just one of those things of if you're very careful, I shouldn't say careful, but like, for example, blowing snow and everything, it's going to get in there. But it was really easy to clean up. I usually keep a few hand towels in here, but I cleaned them out today, and I just wipe it up real quick.
So, I mean, when the trunk's shut, does snow get in it?
Nope. One of these has a, it's quick controls, yeah. Maybe it's under display. One of these has an option to have cabin overheat protection. It's actually in here. So right now you can keep climbing on so we can regulate it and everything. And then part of the safety
Dog
features.
mode.
Yeah, dog mode's hilarious. My pug actually loves it. Not that she's been in here a whole lot. But like you got sentry mode and all this. So the cabin overheat protection right here. Right now I have it on. So whenever it senses the cabin's getting up to 105 degrees, it'll kick on the AC automatically, bring it back down to whatever temperature you have it set at. So 70 degrees.
So even when you're not in the car.
Correct.
Can you go back one
Sure.
to the speed limit? Go right there.
Yep.
Wow.
So right now I have it turned off, but like for example, my wife, you know, or if she's taking my son out to learn how to drive, he's 14, he's going on 15, so he's getting close to getting his license. Occasionally he's been in this car. I don't really like him learning on this, but because we have a used Subaru, he learns. But for example, if he's like, "Hey Dad, can I borrow the Tesla once he gets his license?" Well, I could just set the speed limit to like no more than 60.
Now
That way he can't gun it.
Now, could he change that?
Nope. So,
How does it? How do you stop somebody from changing that?
well, there's two ways. One, I can limit his access via the app, and two, I can like set up his driving profile so when he loads it, that they would be just limited that way. He would basically need my key card or my phone to override it.
So what do you give him when he wants to drive it?
Well, right now he has the Subaru, so that's
good.
that's his vehicle. Like I said, he's only occasionally driven this just to compare and contrast the experience with the Subaru.
Now you have full self-driving.
Yes.
What is available for full self-driving right now versus just autopilot, basic autopilot?
So right now it's kind of interesting because I had the enhanced autopilot when I got the vehicle, and then when they dropped the price for full self-driving, that's when I bought it back in March. So the only things I've actually noticed feature-wise have changed is I'm getting updates quicker, and other than that, going through here,
What'd you pay for your full self-driving?
$2,000. That's
Crap.
Yeah.
Now it's, what is it now?
I believe it's going to increase to $6,000 now. Yeah. When I saw that price drop, I was like, done. But even with the $6,000 now, you're talking that's roughly, with everything I had on the vehicle, if I were to add in that additional $4,000, that would only be $61,000 total.
Now, do you know that can the Model S's be full self-driving?
Yes.
What years? What version do they have to have?
From
of
20.
Autopilot. Do they have to have Autopilot 2.0 or 2.5?
I think 2.5, so I want to say 2016 and above, or 2017 and above. Have to have that.
But 2.0 won't.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure about that. But like here, I got the auto steer beta, the navigate on autopilot beta, I believe, and the summon on beta.
What's the auto steer beta? What is that?
So, for example, when I'm on the highway and I set up autopilot and I'm behind a vehicle and using the traffic-aware cruise control, say the vehicle starts slowing down, well, the car will automatically go out of the lane and go around them.
As long as it's clear, right? Does it check?
Yeah. No, it has blind spot detection, all that. So, with all the cameras and the software, it just automatically goes, oh, do I have enough space to get around them? Yep, let's go. It just drives on its own.
Okay, then navigate on autopilot.
That's where you set a destination and it'll go once you activate it.
Would that be on autopilot, or we'd have to have full self-driving to have those features?
I believe that's on autopilot. Full self-driving is more for like the summon features and I'm trying to think what else. I haven't really looked at it.
Have you tried the summon feature?
Yes.
And?
I like it. I use it more as when I'm getting in and out of my garage in the morning because I have a little bit of clearance there. I only got a 2-car garage. So when my wife's truck's in there or if the Subaru's in there, it's like, oh, I'm not going to try to crawl through a tiny space to get in my vehicle. Get on the app, forward and reverse. And it can go up to 40 feet on the summon right now. So, yeah.
So it backs out carefully enough that it won't.
Yep, it uses all the sensors. Because it has radar sensors along with the camera, so it uses all that information from the sensors going, okay, I have X amount of space on either side, and goes right through. And it'll actually make adjustments going out, too.
So you can put it in the garage as well?
Yep. And with the home link feature, it works seamlessly. It'll open up the garage door, drive right on. It is great.
It folds your mirrors when you summon?
Yeah, you have to set it up, but yes. Yep.
So did somebody teach you how to do all of this, or do you have to figure it out?
I had to figure it out. And it's kind of funny because I'm one of those people that sits on, I don't want to say sits on, but every time I see like a new software update, almost immediately there's like 4 or 5 YouTube people are out there talking about it and showing it off. So it's like, oh, I just watched their video and kind of figure it out, and then I do it myself.
Here's your twin brother, by the way.
What do you like best about the Model 3?
Honestly, it's not having to worry about the range. I mean, it has a 310-mile range. I still can use the superchargers as needed, but there's also plenty of public chargers, too. Maybe not so much here in North Dakota, but like once I get into Minnesota or even down in Illinois, it's great on that. It's just,
do you have a level 2 charger at home?
Yes. Well, I have a NEMA 1450 connection with a 50 amp output. So
you plug in the thing that comes with the car?
Yep, the mobile connector, yep. And even that, I mean, it's limited to 32 amps, but...
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you're still talking... I plug it in, I set it up for scheduled charging at 11 o'clock at night. I'm done by 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on my use. And even if I was completely drained, it'd only take about 7 or 8 hours.
Can you show me how you do the charge?
Yep, so it's actually really easy. Just go to charging. Like right now, I got the scheduled charging. It even shows your last time you used supercharging. Got the limit set, so if I was doing a trip, I can increase that.
Now, is that limit 90%?
Yes.
So is that where you always charge it to?
Usually, yep.
If you were going on a trip, you could go 100.
Yep. And that would bring me to a full 310 miles.
And what's your efficiency, average efficiency?
So, overall, this is total mileage since delivery. It's been about 363 watt hours per mile. But mind you, that's with the winter, that's with using AC, everything else. But my recent trip, the last about roughly 2 weeks of travel, it's been about 294, but it's been a little chillier.
Yeah, it has been.
But just like coming here, 236 watt hours per mile. One recent road trip I did about 3 weeks ago, I was getting roughly 250 watt hours per mile, which is fantastic for a road trip.
That's 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Yeah, that is very good. Now, what speed are you traveling when you do that?
Normally between 70 and 75.
That's really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it also depends on if I have a headwind or a tailwind. If I have a headwind, obviously I'm going to be more in the 300 watt hour range, or maybe even 350. But if I have a tailwind, I've seen it under 200. Like coming back from base with a tailwind, I've seen it under 200, which is just mind-blowing.
It is. That's 5.
Yeah. And one of the apps I use is to track some of this data is Tesla Lab. One of the YouTubers I love watching.
Teslanomics.
Yep, Ben Solins.
Yeah.
So yeah, he recommends it all, and since it syncs up with the car, like I could go through and see all my trips, and actually it tells me the efficiency output with mileage. So for example, like this one, I was going almost 2 miles and 102%, but then scroll down a bit more.
Is there a fee on that?
Nope. This is free. All I had to do was sign up. That's it. And then same thing with, I could see everything like along my route, if the elevation changes, where I've been dipping in the efficiency, my average speed for that trip, changing elevation, all that.
Do you like that app?
I do like this app because it allows me to compare and contrast what I'm seeing from Tesla and what I have on my phone, or what the app is tracking more accurately. And then between that and the only other apps I use for public charging, PlugShare, I like using them because they list everything. They They have all the Tesla chargers, all the little co-ops and electric. I mean, they do a great job of listing every charger that's available. Whether it be just your standard 12 amp, 120 volt wall connector to all the way up to the CCS combos, superchargers.
Can you show us what's the closest supercharger is?
Yep.
It's probably Minnesota somewhere.
Baxter, Minnesota is the closest one. So right now I only have 85% charge, which means I have roughly 260 miles. So right there it would tell me I would have to stay below 70 miles an hour to reach the destination, just based on my charge and only using the route that they plan. But down in Fargo, over in Moorhead, they have a charging station that's near the Noodles and Company and Starbucks right off of 9094 there. It's like exit, I want to say like 1 or 2. And they have a public charger there for it's 32 amp output, 240 volts. So I could sit there for about an hour, get about 35-40 miles, and then I could just zip all the way to Baxter, no problem, at 75 miles an hour, and still get there with roughly 10 to 15% of battery left.
Cool.
And that's typically what I do when I'm going that way. So,
What if you're going west?
if I'm going west, there's a spot, another spot in Fargo you can stop at. West Acres Mall has one. Element Hotel in Fargo has a great Tesla destination charger. It's actually 10 kilowatt output.
We've used that one before.
Yeah, and plus the hotel staff is great. So it's stop there, and then all the way to it can get all the way to Bismarck from there. So right now I could change everything from the time format to the display. Right now I have an energy distance, 263 miles. You can even change it to kilometers, temperature, tire pressure, all that, right from this menu.
Now, what about your tire pressure? How does it show that?
So right now it's showing up in PSI, but I haven't moved the vehicle in a bit, so right now it's not getting an accurate reading. Once we start moving, it'll show up.
Okay.
But,
and what do you usually keep the inflation at?
I keep it right around 45 PSI, because even on road trips where it creeps up a few PSI, it's still under 50, which is the max for the tire anyways. But yeah, per Elon's tweet, I want to say back in, I think it was November, he put out 45 is the best of both worlds for range and comfortable driving experience. So yeah, and that's a little coat hook thing that pops in, so if you were to push in on that, it would drop down, have that attachment as well.
And where does it show your mileage on this car?
So right there, you can either click on the T, it shows it right there, or you can go back to here in software, and it shows total mileage right there too. So,
Wow.
yeah, everything's through the software.
This is your latest version of the software.
Correct.
So, is there any newer software than that you know of?
Not that I know of at this time. This latest release had the for lane keeping warnings, and the older version of software, even the one that came out right prior to this, if you were using, for example, autopilot, it would actually occasionally yell at you if it was detecting that you weren't keeping your hands on the wheel long enough, and if you tried to change lanes without telling the system you wanted to change lanes, it would actually yell at you. With this newest one, it's much more safer, and even kind of bugs you more to, hey, stay in your lane and pay attention. So, and you can always check out the release notes by clicking on that little tab there, and I'll show you.
You won't need me, sweetheart.
Yeah. So this way you don't even have to really remember what's with the release. It'll just tell you. So one of the updates includes now that you can charge up to 150 kilowatt peak rates at Tesla Supercharger stations.
Have you tried that yet?
I have not, because I just got that software. So, but next week I'm going to be on a road trip to Illinois, so I plan on checking out, see what I get at Baxter, Clearwater, or the Oakdale superchargers.
Have you heard any news about the superchargers here?
Yes and no. The latest update I got was that they're currently working on the one in Robbinsdale and Albert Lee, Minnesota, and from what I've gathered online with the Tesla Motors Club page, because they do a great job of tracking all that, is once they get those in place, then they're going to start moving towards the direction of Fargo. Fargo's permit's been on there about a year, same with Alexandria, Minnesota.
Do you know where it's going to be in Fargo?
Allegedly, it's going to be somewhere near either in the Moorhead area or in the West Acres parking lot, West Acres Mall parking lot. I think it's more likely it's going to be in the West Acres parking lot, just because they eased it, all the restaurants and the mall itself and everything else.